beautiful. How you doing tonight? Welcome back to Lucky After Dark. Woohoo! Hey! Okay, tonight we are going to be discussing the dangers about being gay in prison. And it's actually not what you might think. I think that I'm actually going to surprise you. I think that a lot of people think that the dangers of being gay in prison is that you're going to get raped. Oh my God, you're going to be raped. But actually, believe it or not, that used to be the danger. And even then, I don't really know if that was really. Well, actually, yeah, I was going to say I don't know if that was really the danger even back in the day for like a gay person, but actually it probably was. Actually, I think that there's a lot of stories that I have heard about guys that were kind of feminine or something like that, and they did get like, gang raped or something. You needed to, even if you were gay or something, you really needed to be, you had to be with, and it looks like sometimes we heading back into them times, but you really needed to be with somebody that's going to protect you and that has some sort of strong prison reputation in order to make sure that you're safe and things like that, so this way nothing actually happens to you. But ever since Priya came about, that really doesn't really exist anymore. Like, people being attacked like that. Even though, to be honest with you, while I was locked up, I did see and hear, not visually, excuse me, see with my own eyes, but I knew some people that later I had heard went to medical because of this happening, because they were raped and stuff like that. And I was shocked, and I was really kind of surprised to find out who it was. In the 3 years that I was locked up, now somebody else who's been in for longer time maybe has a different story to tell, but in the 3 years that I was locked up, I have heard about 4 different people that unfortunately, were attacked like that sexually, and none of them were queens, gay guys. All 4 of the people that I had heard about this happening were straight guys, heterosexual guys. 2 of them were gang members, and 2 of them were people that owed money of some kind. That is the number one reason I have seen for that to happen. And even when I've heard about it happening in the past, in like the older times, it seemed like it could have just happened, period. But that was still the most popular way of why it actually would happen, is because somebody feels disrespected, or they feel like, somebody has tried to get over on them. And so they're going to come back with vengeance, like with pure anger, in order to humiliate you and truly harm you, is why that actually happens. And it's disgusting, it's terrible, it's scary, but it really doesn't really happen to a lot of gay guys. Like I said, it may have happened, in earlier times, but nowadays, because you have a group of guys that are openly feminine, willingly, giving themselves to somebody or several somebodies. Surprisingly, because of this consent, this consensual type of exchange, most people, if they're going to, try to get this from somebody, they want the person to want to do it. You know what I'm saying? They want the person to actually, pleasure them, like please them. So they actually don't really, it just doesn't happen that much to homosexuals. I'm giving you like the long roundabout way of saying it, but just to make sure that we're clear, so this way you fully get the reason why it doesn't happen. Because I just think that a lot of people assume, I did too, honestly. When I first was going in, I was nervous. I know my mom was nervous, my sister was nervous, everybody was probably nervous that knew me, like, was nervous that was definitely going to happen to me. And it does not happen. I will say there is an encounter that happened with me, and maybe I'll save that for another video. Maybe I'll talk about it, because I don't know if I actually want to talk about it again. I already talked about it one time, and I kind of sped through it because I really didn't feel comfortable. I keep trying to like block this out of my mind. There is one time that I guess I wouldn't say I was flat out, like that, because I definitely decided to do this, but I decided to do it because I knew that the person wanted to, and I was not about to try to be overtaken. You know what I'm saying? So rather than struggle with somebody, I just decided to you know, do it. And then I got the hell out of there the next day. Literally checked into Suicide Watch, and I was in Suicide Watch for 2 weeks, because you have to be in Suicide Watch, you know, for 2 weeks minimum before they let you out in prison. In jail, it's just a 24-hour watch. In prison, it's a 2-week observation that they keep people in Suicide Watch before they release you. And they have you speak with counselors and all kinds of stuff. It's actually pretty, you know, structured, actually. But yeah, that's my only encounter where I guess you could say it's somewhat, you know, tailored along those lines. You can make your conclusion of what you think that falls under, but whatever. Nevertheless, the real danger that gay people face is primarily from relationships. It is from the guys, obviously, but it comes from the guys that get closest to them. Those are actually the most dangerous situations that you can find yourself in. It can be dangerous, obviously, with a gang member. I've seen homosexuals that they end up messing around with a gang member, and the gangs, they'll attack the person who was dealing with the queen, and they'll attack the queen. Sometimes they just attack the person that was in the gang, you know, but there are cases where they attack both. I haven't seen it where they just attack the queen and they don't attack the gang member. Usually the gang member is like the main one that they're pissed at, you know, because queens, they know what queens do, you know, but sometimes they'll go after both. But guys that a queen, a gay person, a homosexual can get themselves involved with, those are typically the most dangerous situations, because the guy becomes so obsessed with the queen, with the gay person. Like, it really is terrifying, to be honest with you. I've literally been in chow, just met somebody because we're sitting at the same table. Like, I'm looking for a place to sit. I don't know where to sit in chow. So then I'll pick somebody who's sitting by himself. He looks like he's kind of quiet or something. And I'll go and sit at the opposite end of the table just to try to eat my meal real fast and get the hell out of chow. And the guy will strike up a conversation like, oh, you know, wow, so how you liking the compound or something? Because obviously the person knows who the hell I am because I'm brand new, you know. So how you liking the compound or something like that? And so then I'll speak. I'm just like, oh, you know, just trying to find my way around or something like that. And then he's just like, oh, well, if you ever need any help, you know, I'm in 70 building, whatever, you know, have you met any new people that maybe, you know, you can click with or something like that? And just in this small little interaction, this person suddenly will start popping up at your cell, making sure that they arrive at the chow hall every time that you arrive, or wait for you until you arrive at the chow hall to wave you over. If you go to the library, they'll pop up at the library. Somehow they hear that you done went to the library. I don't know how these people do this. I don't know how. I mean, it's a small little compound, and I guess when people see you on the boulevard or something, people, they talk, like, everybody, it felt like everybody is always talking about the gay guys in prison. But it's like, then the guy will pop up there. I literally, the prison sugar daddy that I've talked about on this channel, I joined horticulture class myself. The next day, he was in horticulture class. Like, this type level of obsession can really become very dangerous. And it does become very dangerous for a lot of queens. Because me, I think how I was able to get out of a lot of these situations is because I communicate. And I respected what was going on. Like, I didn't joke about it or toy with people. You know, I would be clear about how I'm feeling with the situation that is happening. You know what I'm saying? And that would at least keep people somewhat emotionally, you know, stable. So that's how I would be able to weasel my way out of some of these situations. But I have met a lot of gay guys where disastrous things happened to them. Like, they got stabbed up. One lost an eyeball. I've talked to several queens that are talking to you when they go to smile, they got teeth missing. You know what I'm saying? Like, catch HIV too. Catch HIV because they end up sleeping with people where the person done intimidated them to have sex with them, and they didn't get the paperwork from them. Because Cam is the only person, and I always talk to him about this because it's kind of ironic. Cam is the only person that I had sex with in prison that I didn't see his paperwork. Everybody else, hand to God, I didn't sleep with them until they were able to show me their blood test, their HIV blood test, because I had mine, and I would show people, and this way I didn't want to sleep with anybody until they showed me theirs. All you have to do is if you haven't taken your blood test, then you should take it and then get a copy of it, first of all. And second of all, you should have already had this taken. And it's just as simple as writing a request form asking for a copy of this, and they'll give you a copy for 10 cents or something like that. So Cam was the only person that I actually didn't have this. But some people, they get so wrapped up with somebody, they feel intimidated by the person. Now they didn't sleep with the person and got HIV. HIV is easier to catch in prison than it is out here because of the close quarters that you're in. And people have several different ways that they catch it. Not only from sex, but also from tattoos. Like, everybody in prison is getting tattoos, and they reuse needles, and the needles that they're using aren't even all that clean anyway. And then also, then you have the shower situation. People get MRSA from the showers. Like, it's you really have to be careful in prison. You know, it can definitely be dangerous. But that's really honestly the most way that I would say that it is very dangerous, you know, for a gay person in prison, is the guys, because they become obsessive and possessive in no time flat. And then, God forbid, if you're a queen that is messing around with other guys, which most of the queens are, that's why they end up getting in these violent relationships. When I got to prison, it was like understood that I was going to get into a relationship that was going to end up violent. All the queens were in violent relationships, like where they were fighting with the guys, or the guy was just straight up attacking them all the time. And then the people, just the guys, assumed that it would end up like that, because usually it's just a perfect combination for it. The guy is obsessive and possessive, you know, and emotionally just crazy now, you know, because he hadn't had sex in years. He hasn't had attention in years. So it just makes him just desperate, like, I need it, you know. And then the queen is used to being pursued by several different people and having this person and this person and that person, where they're not going to just cut these relationships off, and they still dip and dab with this person, and they try to do it underneath the person's nose and behind the guy's back. But the guy obviously knows what's going on and will find out and overhear it or see it, or somebody would tell him or something like that. And then they get to fighting, and he ends up beating the shit out of the person. Like, it's a dangerous situation. The most ways that queens, gay guys end up in dangerous situations, end up in danger, is honestly through the relationships that they have. And that is why it's not from like strangers. Like, it's not very likely that a gay person just is in the pod and somebody would just beat them up or something like that. I think that a lot of people assume that. Like, they just assume that if you're gay and you're in prison, you're just going to be picked on all the time. That does not happen. It really doesn't happen. The worst that happens is people won't allow you to move in the cell with them, but that's the worst, for real. People don't just outright just come try to mess with the homosexuals. For one, a lot of guys know that these homosexuals have guys that watch over them, that even if the homosexual hasn't met with this person or that person, chances are there are guys that are already lusting after this homosexual, waiting for their opportunity to talk to this homosexual, you know, or they might already be talking to. Guys are aware of this. Like, the guys in prison are aware of this, and they just try to steer clear of them. If you're not actively pursuing one, then you just try to just stay away from them. That's just the culture, you know. So the most danger that you actually find yourself in if you're a gay guy is the relationships that you choose. And that's why I was very, very careful with picking my guy. The worst one I think that I ended up in was the booty bandit guy. I didn't call him a booty bandit. I called him my protector guy. But that's why I got out of it, because it intimidated me how much power he had over our situation. All the COs liked him. The unit manager was pushing us to move in the cell together. The inmates all watched me every time that he wasn't around, but yet they left me alone alone. They were like intimidated to talk to me. So I was like literally isolated and by myself. And he was able to like, do anything. Like he was literally able to do anything because of how cool he was with so many people on the compound, inmates and the administration. And and he was mean to people. Like it just intimidated me. Like I was like, I don't see this ending good if I have a problem with something or we end up, having beef or something, So there was a time that Cam even actually got a little aggressive with me, but I really liked it actually. Like we was arguing and then I was trying to leave and he like grabbed my shoulders really tight, and I knew that if I had jerked away or something like that, or just tried to like shake him off, it would have got worse. Like he would have grabbed me tighter and then we would have been tussling and stuff like that. So I just didn't move. And honestly, in my mind I was thinking like, this boy, if he don't let me go, I swear to God, I'm gonna lay his ass out. And people used to tease all the time because they used to wonder like, if Cam and I would be fighting or something like that, because it's normal. Homosexual relationships, they usually get to fighting with the guys that they're with. And people would ask sometimes, they'd be like, are you all right? But over time, as people got to know like my attitude and how Cam and I, how we would fight and the way that I would treat him when we were fighting, over time, they started joking about that. They'd be like, shit, I guess we really need to be asking you, Cam, are you okay? I'm like, damn right, y'all need to be asking him. But yeah, that's usually the most dangerous, the most danger that a homosexual can actually end up in. It's not just strangers. It's actually the people that become closest to you, which that's the scary thing. That and other homosexuals, but save that for another time, like I've already talked on that actually, to tell you the truth. But yeah, but homosexuals, I guess, if they perceive you as a threat, they can become very dangerous for you too. But otherwise it's usually just the relationships that you end up in. So that's all I got for this topic. And I hope that, you'll check out my diary entries if you want to just hear more about my personal journey, my personal experience. I have some entries on Amazon. I have a little sneak peek book up there. The link is in the description. I'm trying to get my official book, done and published and everything. And the more support I have from you guys, the more likely I'll be able to actually get this book published, which would be so cool. There's a lot in it, like a lot in it, and if you want to just check out other like videos when I used to read the journal entries, all the links are in the description. Otherwise, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next Lucky After Dark. Hey! Bye.